From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. And hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Invisible,
Invisible Eric?
No. Actually, I'm Tom Coughlin's publicist, also known as Eric Rosen.
Oh, brother. Perish the thought. But on the bright side, folks, we're really happy that you could join us tonight. We're going to try and take some phone calls if we can, 718-727-0143. And you can also contact us through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Speaking of football, it was just a few weeks ago that we had some good friends of ours from the Pioneer Football League. We had the commissioner himself, David Patterson, and we also had our good friends, Lee Michael Dobson and his brother. We have had the fortune of getting a few highlights from the first couple of weeks of the Pioneer Football League, and Kenny Graham, who's on the other side of the glass, is going to give us the signal as to when to air it. So here we go.
Hey, how you doing, Pioneer Football League? David Patterson. This year, 2015, it's a day at the beach. So not only is our championship game at Coney Island, which is just right on the boardwalk in Brooklyn, New York, but I am down here in Virginia Beach enjoying Labor Day weekend. And behind me right now is the Sportsplex at Virginia Beach, which is where Pioneer Football League teams will be playing in nationals. We have a lot of great games on the schedule. All the schedule is posted on www.pioneer-league.com/schedule. You can see all the information there. Let's check out some highlights from week one. What are you doing this year to add to your game, dude? Oh, see, how you doing in school, man? What you doing, man?
I saw the guy, he's holding the ball. Well, he wasn't holding the ball tight, so I had to grab it. Last time he fumbled, and I was running to score.
Split back 326. Jalen, line up that tight end. Run a 5 and out. Khalil, where you at? You got it now. And Kwame over here running 4. All one. All one. Yeah, pass block. Let's get it, y'all.
That one, I saw it popping out. Nobody was in front of me. So I cut out.
I saw the penalties today kind of hurt you guys.
We was defeating ourselves. You know, we had a couple touchdowns. It was called back by the refs, but it's a fair game. We just got to play as one.
Hello PFL, I'm Dear Nance, and this week I interviewed Coach Harry Rosario of Globe College. I asked him about his exciting winning game over Lackawanna College, where his running back Darius Webb had over 600 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. I asked him what this mean about his running game this season, but I was also curious about what he wanted his team to improve on or do in the next game against Delaware Valley. Coach Rosario responded to me by saying that Darius had a great rushing performance, but he's not his best kept secret anymore. He then went on to say that there's no denying that a win against Lackawanna is an ego booster, but if he doesn't correct the mistakes of his team, his team will be hurt in the next game against Delaware Valley. I also asked Coach Irizarry about his upcoming schedule, with tough games on the schedule such as teams Navy and Monroe College. But I also wanted to know, in his opinion, who, if any, is the toughest team on his schedule. Then also I wanted to know what to expect from his team this season. Coach Irizarry went on to say there are many tough teams on the schedule like ASA College and Dean College, but he doesn't look forward to the schedule, only expects to be 1-0 every week. He then also went on to say that he expects his team to be a very classy program on and off the field, and expects teams to be in a 60-minute fight every time they step on the field against them. Thank you, I'm David Hernandez, and I'll see you guys next time.
Welcome to Pioneer Sports Center. I'm Darius Ramos, QB of the Bronx Buccaneers.
Welcome to Pioneer Sports Center. I'm Daniel Jimenez, center of the MHC Green Wave.
Pioneer League. 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 The Pioneer League. Pioneer League. Yeah. Bigger, faster, stronger, yeah, I'm all of that. And you can say I'm clutch with a fourth quarter at. I know you ride the bench, but I'm a starter scrap. I put a helmet or a shoulder on your quarterback. On the field, moving faster than your average. I swear it's all I do, cause they say winning is a habit. Blood, sweat, and tears all week during practice. They catch me on the weekend when I turn into a savage. I'm always in motion like a verb, boy. We handing out losses, you can get served, boy. Slick on the field, something like a can of oil, boy. I slip formally, you laying in the soil, boy. Yeah, I'm in the game, I ain't never on the bench. If you ain't talking chips, then it don't make no sense. Pioneer League.
See, big win this week, man. Talk to us about it.
We stay consistent to like what I said 2 weeks ago. Repeat things in practice, commit things to muscle memory, and our fundamentals just go and show out on the field.
Homecoming this week, big win. How'd it feel?
Feel pretty good because we lost to the Spartans. Feels really good to come home and win the game. Well, the Colts were a challenge, but we came out and got the W.
Nice, okay. Now, right now we're heading into October, so as the standings start to come in, what do you need to do to hold on to first place?
Always stay humble. Our coach always tells us we have to go on a 1-game win streak every week. So what we do is we make sure we win every week rather than win the season, because the season's a marathon and not a sprint.
Let's see. And what's your favorite part of the season so far?
Pretty much everything. I love the game of football, I love my team, and trying to get this chip.
Got birds, dogs, kebabs.
Chain no money, wait, bad lady, please, 32 is clear, hold on real, I don't want to.
Oh, it's a pick. Bounce it up, go, 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 Good job. Let's get this back. That's what I'm talking about. No, that's going to be a touchdown.
Why? Why is no one moving?
Because there's no whistle. You always play the whistle. It was a backward pass. No whistle was blown. So he took it up and ran.
Do not be cut. Okay, but why just let's go, woman.
Yo, wait!
It's coming.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know that I hit the floor, right? I'm gonna be honest. Oh, legal.
Talk to us about MetLife Stadium next week.
Oh, I'm super excited for that. The kids are, as soon as I told them, they just ran around the field. They were so excited to play on the Jets field. The first time they got to, the experience was just wonderful to them. They can't wait to play. They come into practice. They can't wait to play today, just for next week.
I can't wait to go to MetLife with the 10U.
But you have a Giants hat on the side.
That's all right. That's all right.
I should take
That's all right. I represent New York, NY, no matter
anything
Giants
NY.
and Jets.
And the Eagles.
What's up, young man? What's your name, man?
My name is Patrick Ramirez.
Patrick Ramirez. How you doing,
12U quarterback.
12U quarterback. I see, man. And now this week you got a big game, man. What's the keys to victory today?
To go out, play hard, play 100%.
Gotcha. Now I heard next week's a big week for you guys. You got 2 games.
Yeah.
Homecoming. Tell me about the first game.
First game, we're gonna go do the same thing we're gonna do this week. Go out, play 100%. Gonna go get out wins.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. What's up, man? How you doing, sir? I see you find a cure.
That's right.
What are we finding a cure for, sir? I love your mouthpiece too.
Breast cancer.
I see. So you support the breast cancer awareness. I like that. Very nice, man. And how old are you, sir?
10.
You're 10. Oh, so you're in the 10U.
Oh.
Got it. Now, I hear that you're going to be playing somewhere real special next week.
Yeah.
Where are you playing next week?
At my home field.
At your home field. So your home field is MetLife Stadium?
Bro.
Because you're playing at halftime of the New York Jets game. That's going to be pretty
I
cool.
gotta record the Eagles game.
Oh,
so I can watch replay. Me and my teammates play.
I see. Awesome. You excited about that too?
Especially if we win too.
Oh, I see.
I'm gonna be super excited.
Got
Hello, PFL. I'm David Davis, and today I'm here at the Bronx Buccaneers homecoming. I'm here today with a special player of the Bronx Buccaneers, John Peters. And not just because he's a player, but he's also been really special to the Bronx Buccaneers because last year he was diagnosed with leukemia. But while doing that, he also played for the Bronx Buccaneers whole season. So, JP, how you feeling today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit about your backstory with dealing with leukemia and all that?
Okay. Well, I was diagnosed with leukemia April 28th of 2014, and I I found out because I was always sleeping in class, and my teachers thought I was like there was something wrong with me. So she called the doctor and everything, and they said that my white blood cells was higher than my red. And, you know, that's an infection in the blood. So I went to the hospital and everything, and I spent 6 months in the hospital with leukemia. But I'm in remission now, and thank God.
Okay, number one, how hard was it for you to juggle football while also dealing with this horrible disease?
Well, that's a good question. It was kind of hard because every time Coach Rick, the CEO and the president of the Bronx Buccaneers, told me to come to practice on a Saturday in the morning, I was like, Coach, I don't know, because I don't feel good and I gotta take medicine. So half the time I didn't come to practice, but he understood because of my situation.
Okay, number two. All right. Besides Coach Rick, you had a lot of other people help you. Who are some of these people who pushed you to do what you had to do for your team, but also for like helping, trying to fight you? Like you were about to give up, but who are these people that pushed you to not give up?
Well, my mom, of course. Number one fan, my mom, my sister, my grandmother, my Coach Rick, Coach D, all the coaches, all the players, people from my middle school teachers, they all came into my room at once like, yo, JP, what's up? I heard you was about to they was about to jump me, but I was already in the hospital, so, I had to keep fighting, man. I don't know.
Okay, so last question. Do you think that you're stronger than you've ever been because you fought over this and kept on going? Do you think you're stronger than your original self was?
I do, because every time I go to the hospital and everything, they see me, they always clap and be like, oh, Superman's coming down, oh, Superman's coming. I smile, I'm like, come on, stop it, it's too much attention. But yeah, I thank God I beat it, because I feel stronger, I don't, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, PFO. I'm David Hernandez, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, that will do it. And I want to give a quick word of thanks to our very good friend, David Patterson, who runs the Pioneer Football League, for sending us those clips. We're going to try and make this a regular segment for as long as the season goes on. So hopefully we'll be able to show you some more highlights of the Pioneer League season next time. Now, speaking of football, how about them Giants?
Man, Giants. Unbelievable.
Once again, they're now the first team in NFL history to blow 2 consecutive 10-point fourth-quarter leads to start the season.
And give enough ample time to the opposing team to get a winning drive, including Julio Jones, who tied a franchise record with 13 receptions yesterday for 135 yards, including a 37-yard touchdown pass down the left side of the line that set up the game-winning 2-yard rushing touchdown by Devonta Freeman. That ended up propelling the Falcons to their second consecutive victory, 24-20 over the New York Giants. The Giants 0-2, along with 6 other teams in the league, 12% chance.
And once again, the Giants can attribute their problems to some stupid mistakes that wound up costing them. Blown assignments on defense and offense.
How about missing
stupid penalties, dropped passes. You can just hang your hat on any one of those, and they were the X factor in this game. And now it's getting increasingly difficult for them because they have to work on only 3 days rest going into the Redskins game.
Yep, Thursday Night Football against Washington. By the way, a team that just won yesterday against St. Louis. Unbelievable how especially this kid, Matt Jones, had 102 yards. 3rd-round pick, Adamai, Florida Gators, by the way. I couldn't believe it. That kid, 2 rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
He was sick. He was insane. This Giants defense better worry about him. And you know what? A little bit of Alfred Morris.
Yeah.
And of
That's a two-headed monster that they have in the backfield right there to more than make up for their deficiency at quarterback. Sorry, but Kirk Cousins is not cutting it for me. And it's gotten to the point where the Giants are really going to have to do a complete about-face defensively. That's where the real problem lies for the Giants. It's been the defense. And to make matters even worse, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie hurt his shoulder and could not even return to the game.
And that's really going to be bad. You know, Cousins, by the way, he didn't even throw a pick in this game against St. Louis. And you know what? That kind of worries me. If he plays like that against the Giants, they're going to win. Mm-hmm. But if they can do the same thing that Miami did to Washington the first week, Giants have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a chance if the Giants secondary can play the same type of defense that the Dolphins played in week 1. But if they play like the Rams in week 2, they're going to end up losing the game. And you know what? Honestly, the Giants, I think, are going to lose this game. I really believe they're going to lose to the Redskins, but not by so much. It's going to be yet another lead they will blow, and they're going to end up losing by 3 points.
Yeah. Now, on the bright side, the Jets are playing tonight against the Colts at Indy. Let's see what the Jets can do for an encore, because now they're going up against a potential Super Bowl contender in the Colts, the team that I picked to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, a Super Bowl contender that lost 27-14. By the way, the camera's not being...
Yeah, unfortunately, Kenny kind of abandoned us from the other side of the glass, so he's actually double-dipping tonight. He's going back and forth between here and Studio A because in any moment... our friend John Contaduca is going to be doing the soccer report, so that's why he's been... Speaking of which, one of his daughters actually peeked through the door, so shout out to our dear friend Coach John for always doing such a great, great job with the soccer report. Go ahead, man.
Oh, by the way, the team that you picked to win the Super Bowl, 27-14, they lost to Buffalo. They gave up 147 yards on the ground. That's almost the same kind of numbers that the Cleveland Browns gave up to the Jets in Week 1. So if the Jets can exploit the Indy's inability to stop the run, they will win tonight. On top of that, yes, you're going to probably see Brandon Marshall take on Vontae Davis. That we're going to probably see tonight. Plenty of that matchup.
Yep.
But the other side of things, expect to see T.Y. Hilton back from the leg injury they sustained in the first half against Buffalo. He will be playing tonight. He will be matched with Revis Island.
Yep. Now, we mentioned that the Giants had dropped to 0-2. They're one of quite a few teams that have started the season 0-2 this year. Let me count the ways. The Ravens, the Texans, the Eagles, the Bears, the Lions, the Saints, and the Seahawks are all 0-2 in addition to the Giants this season.
Well, the Saints, you can measure it up to the fact that they got they ended up losing to Tampa Bay yesterday. They really got hosed by Arizona the very first week, including those 3 touchdowns they gave that the defense gave up to Carson Palmer. 2 of them in the fourth quarter alone that Week 1 game. And then Jameis Winston yesterday just had a great turnaround performance. He didn't throw an interception yesterday at all. Yeah, he didn't throw an interception at all yesterday, as he did last week against Tennessee. So Jameis had a masterful performance in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Very good, including a big touchdown he threw to Vincent Jackson. However, for New Orleans, I said on my first show, The Blitz Zone, that one of my surprises that could be on the hot seat this year, Sean Payton. And right now, that could go from surprise to reality.
Yeah.
If things don't turn around for the Saints organization. And they got to I know it's the team that's in transition and turnaround. I get that. But you got to get more Brandon Cooks involved. They got to get, the running game is good, with Mark Ingram, but they got to get more than just Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
You got C.J. Spiller. They really need to utilize him better than what they've been doing the first 2 weeks. As for Seattle, Cam Chancellor, I'm sorry. I know there's some people say other things, but I really think not having Cam Chancellor in that secondary is hurting them, and underutilizing Jimmy Graham, who they acquired in the offseason. Those 2 things are really...
Could it also be that maybe defenses are starting to really study a little bit more film about Russell Wilson and what makes him and the rest of that offense tick?
Well, their usual shtick is running the option, play action passes. That's their whole thing. It's option offense, play action deep passes to Doug Baldwin or Jermaine Kearse, and the occasional throws to Luke Wilson if he is even able to get open.
Mm-hmm.
But Jimmy Graham, he only had 2 targets yesterday.
Yeah.
One of which he caught for, I believe it was 8 yards. You acquired him from New Orleans for a reason, to make your offense even more dynamic. Well, make it dynamic.
Yep.
And Darrell Bevell, you got to come up with a better game plan on offense than what we've seen. And Marshawn Lynch was all right, but Green Bay, of course, at home.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, masterful.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as other happenings in the NFL, what about the Raiders coming up with a crucial win, second week of the season against the Ravens, and coming from behind to do so?
I felt like I was in the twilight zone yesterday watching the NFL. Not only did I see the Raiders come up with a big 37-33 victory over the Ravens, but I saw the Jaguars beat the Dolphins 23-20. Mm-hmm. And for anybody who was in a survivor pool, most people were probably eliminated because of those picks.
Yeah.
Most people obviously picked Miami over Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Most people picked Baltimore over Oakland. But nobody realized Derek Carr had a good performance in the end. He threw a 12-yard touchdown pass, 26 ticks to go to Seth Roberts to win the game.
Yeah.
And that was huge. And not only that, him and Amari Cooper really were in sync yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that in the preseason, so you're going to see that plenty more. As for the Dolphins, Olivier Vernon's to blame for giving up that 15-yard penalty, unnecessary roughness penalty that led to the game-winning field goal by this kid, Robert Myers, who, by the way, Jason Myers, who went to Marist College.
That's right.
In Poughkeepsie, New York. And he also had a 50-yard before the first half ended.
Yeah.
So big ups to upstate New York.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as what happened in the college circuit over the weekend.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk more on Friday Splits, definitely on the NFL. But, yeah, college, man.
As far as what happened in the college circuit, how about the job LSU did, just completely dismantling Auburn? Just goes to show you Les Miles is still doing his thing down in Baton Rouge. The defense was spectacular. They really did a job on Auburn's quarterback situation. Elsewhere, Notre Dame was pretty much back in focus as they wound up coming away with a big victory.
But it wasn't in the Auburn-LSU game. It was Leonard Fournette,
Mm-hmm.
a guy who's going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate, 29-yard score, and he had 220 total yards on 19 carries.
Mm-hmm.
He's destroying teams.
And there was a bit of an upset over the weekend because Stanford won in Los Angeles against USC.
That was huge, in fact, to see Kevin Hogan's team 41-31, and Kevin Hogan 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raymond Wright for 3 touchdowns on the game. It was the first time in Hogan's career that he defeated USC. Cody Kessler and squad are really reeling from this, even though Kessler had 3 touchdowns.
Speaking of reeling, what about Ohio State? They were this close to losing to Northern Illinois over the weekend, and all of a sudden, there's not necessarily a quarterback controversy, but a quarterback problem.
Oh, yeah, both of them threw picks. 2 interceptions from Cardale Jones. J.T. Barrett had a pick himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there really wasn't any separation of who's going to be the starting quarterback going forward in this game. And the fact that they only won 20-13, if it wasn't for, the fact that they had 5 turnovers, they still managed to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that spectacular, that interception, that for a 41-yard touchdown in the third quarter to make it 20-10.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that pick 6, they would have lost.
Yeah,
They would have
so
easily
true.
lost that game.
So true. Now, as far as what's going to be happening this
but
coming weekend?
What about the big upset? I'm talking about Ole Miss.
Oh, yes. Mississippi doing something that they had never, ever done before in their school's history, and that's beat Alabama 2 years in a row.
And not only that, they won in Tuscaloosa for the first time since 1988.
Mm-hmm. Which is really saying how far that program has come in the last, I'd say, 2 years or so.
2 words. Chad Kelly.
Yeah. Jim Kelly's kid once again did his thing.
He had 3 touchdowns, including a deflected 66-yarder in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
He really is just outstanding. He won a 3-way quarterback battle in training camp. Jay Coker just had a terrible performance.
Yeah.
As well as the rest of the squad. Derrick Henry, coming up this week. By the way.
Whole bunch of games coming up this week, especially in the top 25. Right now, as far as what the game of the week is,
UCLA, Arizona.
Yeah.
As I like to call him, Josh Rosen, who is my cousin, leading his team. By the way, they beat BYU 24-23 on a late touchdown, and it wasn't Josh Rosen. By the way, he had a terrible his worst performance so far. But you know what? That's expected of a true freshman quarterback. You have to have those growing pains to get better. But they didn't win nonetheless, and they got the Arizona Wildcats, 3rd straight year that Rich Rodriguez has led his team to a 3-0 start. So both teams undefeated. Somebody's going to get their first loss.
And LSU, which has rolled in the first 3 weeks, is going to be not too far from here because they have a road game at Syracuse this coming Saturday.
If I could go to that game, I would, because I would love
trust me. You will have no problem getting tickets. Syracuse has had a major problem attracting fans for football games in the last 5 years. There's been
not this
half-empty seats.
I'll tell you, not for this one, because the guy who I mentioned, Leonard Fournette, he's the reason why LSU is even undefeated at 2-0. They would have had their first game against McNeese State had not been for a lightning storm. Other than that, he's had over 400 yards on the ground in the first 2 games of the year. He's literally carrying this team on his shoulder. This is why I think he should be the #1 contender for the 2015 Heisman Trophy. But if anybody's going to possibly win, it's going to be Trevon Boykin.
Yep. And just to give you an idea about the top 25 in general, Ohio State still has the #1 spot. Now Michigan State has moved up to #2 in the rankings.
Because they beat Air Force 35-21. Connor Cook's 3 touchdowns.
And Mississippi and Texas Christian are both tied for #3.
Boykin had 454 yards, 5 touchdowns, including a 42-yarder at the end.
And then Baylor is 5th, followed by Notre Dame, Georgia, in that order.
Notre Dame, of course, coming up with that big victory over Georgia Tech.
Let's see. LSU is 8th, and then UCLA is 9th, and then there's the #10 spot.
Yeah, Florida State.
Which is Florida State.
Clemson, of course, they're coming off their their victory this past Thursday against Louisville. Florida State just won 14-0 in Boston. Up in Boston against the Eagles.
Right.
The Ducks won their last game against Georgia State, but of course without Vernon Adams. They had this kid Jeff Locke, who was Marriott's backup. But I think we're going to see, you got the Ducks against the Utes, by the way. This other kid, Devonta Booker, hell of a running back.
Yeah.
He's going to possibly gash the Ducks this week. The Aggies, undefeated. Kyle Allen going up against a Razorbacks team that is just... Ooh, and Oklahoma, they're off this week, but the air raid, you gotta love Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He set the school record this past weekend for most yards in the game over Landry Jones' record, over 520 yards.
Yeah. Now, in our neck of the woods, our friends at Wagner College, unfortunately coming off a disappointing loss against Monmouth, a 15-point loss. And before that, after that, actually, coming up, they have a big home game with Lafayette, which has become a power in the Patriot League. So let's see if the Seahawks can bounce back in Week 4.
Their first game of the year was against the Rice Owls, which they, of course, I love Wagner, but I knew they were not going to win that game. I'm sorry if you're listening to this. I had a feeling, because FCS teams going against FBS teams, but... That's not necessarily true. We've seen some FCS teams make huge upsets.
Yeah, I mean, just recently there was, the most famous one, of course, is Appalachian State beating Michigan. And then just recently, Jacksonville State came this close to beating Auburn.
Speaking of Michigan, by the way, they won their game against the Running Rebel.
And for the record, Wagner lost their first couple of games by double digits. They got blown out by Rice, and then came the Monmouth game this past weekend. Lafayette is coming up.
They need a few years ago. Remember, they were in the 16-team playoff in the FCS rankings.
The schedule looks really tough for them. Lafayette from the Patriot League, and then a conference game, a Northeast Conference game with Robert Morris, Columbia, then St. Francis of PA in conference action. Then they have to go to Brigham Young.
Okay, I hate to say this to you, but Tanner Mangum is not going to need a miracle this time against Wagner. And I'm so sorry. I really am sorry, Walt, if I'm saying this. And it might sound disrespectful, but there's no way the Seahawks are going to even come close to taking down BYU. BYU almost defeated UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they are going to lose to Wagner. Wagner is going to get gashed for so many points.
Yeah.
It baffles my mind. Like, I'm thinking like a 50-20 something defeat right there. And believe me, I hope that Wagner wins. But in my heart of hearts, I cannot lie to myself. BYU is going to take them to
Let's
task.
see them play hard and try and make it respectable.
It's not even going to be close to respectable. This is why, it's. I sometimes don't like it when FCS schools get booked with FBS schools because it's a slaughterhouse waiting to happen.
You do realize why this happens, right? It's a money thing for the FCS.
Of course.
It's a real payday because they're getting a lot of money to appear at their opponent's home field.
In the Northern Arizona game, Arizona won 73 to, I think it was
28.
28.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 73 to 28. Is there no such thing as a mercy rule in college?
And for the record, let me correct myself. The actual score was 77 to 13.
77-13. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there no such thing as a mercy rule?
No. They don't do mercy rules in football. Only baseball and softball.
They should consider it for college football. When you have to score that many points.
Better yet, why don't they just do what some of the schools said that they were going to do? Just don't schedule the FCS teams anymore. Put some guys from the power conferences in there. You can even the playing field.
Or how about the power conference teams play each other in the first week?
Yeah.
Really weed out the field in the very beginning, so at least it gives the CFP committee an ability to see who should get those coveted spots in December and in January, especially the New Year's games.
Better yet, they should do what they do in the college basketball circuit, where they have the Big Ten ACC challenge or the Big 12 SEC challenge. They should do something like that.
If they had a Big 12 SEC challenge, I would like to see Texas A&M take on Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a match I would love to see right there.
Here's one better. How about a Texas versus Alabama confrontation, a rematch of the national title game from a few years ago?
That would be good. Or how about Oklahoma versus
Oklahoma
Georgia?
Versus Auburn, Oklahoma versus Georgia. There you go.
Or, you know what, another really interesting matchup, TCU against my beloved Gators.
Yeah.
I would love to see that take place, even though Trevon Boykin, he won't get as many points as he thinks he will.
I think you get a lot of points on the part of both teams in a matchup like this. Now, what's that?
My Gators did win, by the way, 14-9 against Kentucky, keeping the streak alive, 29 games. They got Tennessee this week. All right, you were about to...
Staying in our neck of the woods, going on to baseball, the Staten Island Yankees unfortunately ended their season by losing in the New York Penn League Championship Series to West Virginia, which is a Pittsburgh Pirates affiliate. But give the Yankees a lot of credit. They wound up winning the McNamara division. They swept their way into the New York Penn League Championship round. Overall, they had a really good season.
They ended it on a 6-game winning streak, including, clinching the McNamara division title on the final day against Brooklyn, sweeping the Tri-City Valley Cats twice to even be in the title game, and unfortunately losing to the Black Bears. They had an instrumental season with guys like Kyle Holder and Tyro Estrada, who played excellent, and Caprellian, the pitcher from UCLA that came in. a lot of really bona fide baby bombers who are going to, I think, one day be actual Bronx Bombers.
There's a strong possibility of that. Probably the one who is definitely the one to watch out for is James Caprielin, the pitcher. And there's also the shortstop prospect, Kyle Reese, who they got from the University of San Diego.
That sounds like the Terminator, Kyle Reese.
Yeah, that's actually right. Kyle Reese happens to be the character from, I think, one of the Terminator movies.
The latest one and the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, getting back into baseball, I'm sorry.
Speaking of baseball, two very important series for our New York teams, who, by the way, came off the Subway Series. The Yankees wound up taking 2 out of 3.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
Which included last night's disastrous result that took place. Once again, pitch counts. Bottom line, the Yankees took 2 out of 3. Huge win for the Yankees. But can we please stop with this micromanaging of the young pitchers? This is one of the reasons why pitch counts are just bad for baseball. Matt Harvey looked really strong for 5 innings. 1 hit, 1 walk given up. Don't you think that it was fair or unfair to leave? Better yet, don't you think it was completely, utterly unfair to that young man to have to take him out so early? If he had stayed on for the next 2 or 3 innings, who knows what would have happened? But all I'll say is this. Harvey was this close to being untouchable by the Yankees last night.
I'm at a loss for words with this whole situation right now. I think most of us are at a loss for words on why the Mets organization are putting a cap on Matt Harvey's pitching right now, especially at this juncture in the season when there's 2 weeks left. We only have a magic number of 8. We're just barely I don't know about scratching the surface, but right now we're barely holding on at times, especially when against the Yankees the last 2 games was just incredibly terrible hitting and pitching. I just
pitching-wise, the bullpen had their teeth kicked in.
Yep.
Last night was a complete and utter embarrassment. This is why I worry about the Mets the last 2 weeks of the season. Starting pitching has been okay at best. I say okay because, quite frankly, at times Harvey looked like he had a little bit of an issue with command. And the same thing goes for Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard. 2 other guys who have been caught in the pitch count shuffle. And this is going to lead to a little bit of more of a discussion in a little bit. At the same time, though, the Yankees really came up big in these last 2 games because whereas they wound up taking care of their business this weekend, the Red Sox did the Yankees a favor and took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. So now the deficit is 2.5 going into their series against each other tonight, Yankees and Blue Jays. Unfortunately, the Yankees are not doing themselves any favors right now. They're in the second inning, and the Blue Jays have a 3-0 lead. And as for the Mets, they've got the Braves. This is their chance to really take care of business because the really soft part of the schedule is coming up. They've got the Braves, the Reds, and the Phillies in consecutive series. And right now, the Mets have a 2-0 lead on the Braves in the second inning.
Good.
Bottom of the second inning, that is.
Yeah, they definitely need to win this game tonight against teams like the Braves, as you mentioned, and the Reds and the Phillies. All of them in common, they are all eliminated from the playoffs altogether. Their divisions as well as the wild card. These are teams these are trap games, if you will, against teams that have nothing whatsoever to lose and everything in the world to gain, including, hey, if we're going down, you can come with us.
Yeah.
So
these are absolute 100% trap games for the Mets because the Braves always give the Mets problems. And, of course, the Marlins gave the Mets a whole bunch of trouble in consecutive weeks, taking 4 out of 6 games from them in a pair of series. Now, there's the Braves, Reds, and Phillies coming up. It's crucial that the Mets take advantage of the meaty part of their schedule. Now, this leads to my discussion that I had planned for you in regards to this constant babying of these pitchers. Just recently, there was an article that came out. I think it was on ESPN.com, and it had to do with doctors' opinions in regards to what some of these guys should do with their pitchers who come off a Tommy John surgery. Every doctor is in unison. They really don't know what these guys, specifically the powers that be, should do with their surgically repaired pitchers. And this begs the question, should we just trust a pitcher's instincts as far as how far they should go? Because Harvey has looked really strong at times this year.
There are times where I'm debatable about that, even though, of course, every player is going to say, oh, I'm fine, I'm okay to go, because they all want to play really badly. There are some pitchers who probably feel discomfort, but they don't want to say anything because they're afraid if they do, they're going to be taken out of the game, taken away from the very thing that they love and have bled for every single day of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So for a lot of that, sometimes the player's discretion is a 50-50 situation. There are times, you can trust a player's instinct, but there are times where you can see that they are feeling uncomfortable and they don't know what they're talking about. They're just saying yes, they want to be in because, well, they want to be in the game. They want to play. So it's a very murky situation when you leave it up to the players, as opposed to doctors who were there from the very beginning surgically repairing those arms and were there with the follow-up and recovery situation. And the managers, the guys who are responsible not just for them, but for the entire team together, and the ownership who put up the money for these pitchers. So that's where the collective opinion should come from. As much as I like the players, I really think the discretion should be up to the managers, ownership, and doctors.
There you go.
Especially the doctors, the ones who were there from the very beginning. But the fact that you mentioned that they're in unison where they don't have a clue, that's scary right there.
Yeah.
When they don't, if there's one guy they should ask, though.
Dr. James Andrews?
I was going to say Dr. James Andrews, who's probably the foremost expert on repairing ACLs and rotator cuffs and Tommy John surgery.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Dr. James Andrews is kind of the wild card in this whole controversy because it was Andrews who said that Matt Harvey should be limited to 180 innings this year. Not regular season alone, but regular season and playoffs.
Huh?
And here's another question. There are certain guys who have had multiple Tommy John surgeries.
They shouldn't be pitching in. If they have to go through that many Tommy John surgeries, as much as we would love to see them play, is it worth the risk of, because even though this is another subject with wrestling, Daniel Bryan, for instance. He had his second injury with his neck in as many years.
Yeah.
And you saw on the show Total Divas, because he's married to Brie Bella, he had a meeting with the WWE executives to see whether or not he was going to be whether or not they were going to allow him to come back.
Yeah.
He said to his wife, Brie, after she asked, how did it go, the meeting? He said, they're really nervous about me wrestling again.
And he's a young guy, too. He's a really young guy who I don't even think has reached the peak of his career yet.
I know.
And he's won a couple of world heavyweight titles.
I know, especially WrestleMania 30. So my point is that if they're nervous about him coming back in, it makes me nervous to see pitchers who have had multiple Tommy John surgeries pitch again.
And to follow up on that question, as far as guys who have had multiple Tommy John surgeries, exactly what kind of role can these guys fill? Should they be converted from starting pitchers to relievers, or should we just phase them out altogether?
Phase them out altogether, make them pitching coaches, whether it's minor league. Honestly, it's not worth it for them to possibly go through yet another Tommy John again. This should be a rule. If you have 2 Tommy John surgeries, you're done. I don't care who you are. After 2, you are finished. You're through. It sucks. It's mean for me to say that, but you know what? You're not worth the risk of possibly having a 3rd Tommy John and going through. Even if you have talent, it doesn't matter.
There's still the issue of these guys and their collective competitive fires. They still feel like they want to compete, though.
I couldn't care less about your fire whatsoever. I care about your life, your arm, the very thing you need in this world.
Well, here's a couple of ideas here. In fact, we've already discussed Wheeler. Well, no, not Matt Harvey, Noah Syndergaard, Jacob deGrom. Each of them is going to have a couple of turns skipped in their rotation. Next year, Zach Wheeler, who I unwittingly mentioned, he's going to be coming off a Tommy John surgery of his own. What's the Mets' attitude going to be with him?
Right now, they're going to test him out, and they're going to probably try to work him in the farm system, especially when they have their training camp. They're going to see where he's at. If he is not up to par, they'll probably start him back in the minors to begin with.
Here's a follow-up. There are 2 wild cards in this whole thing, and they just so happen to be John Neese and Bartolo Colon, 2 guys who are going to be free agents next year. Bartolo Colon has pitched very good for a guy who's 42 years of age. John Neese, you know he's going to be attracting some interest someplace. Do the Mets give these guys at least 1-year deals as insurance in case Harvey or maybe Wheeler gets himself hurt again next year?
It's another murky situation. Honestly, though, if I had to choose between the 2, I would say Cologne over Neese. Let Neese go. Honestly, as much I like Cologne's experience, the way he's been pitching the last few years, especially this past year. Yeah, he in the first 10 games he was 9-1. Then he had a bit of a losing streak, if you will, to say the least, the next 9 starts. But he's really come up strong these last few outings, so I would keep him for next year on a 1-year deal with an option for another year. As for Neese, I think he needs to go somewhere else. I think another team is going to pick him up. Don't be surprised if a team like, say, the White Sox or possibly the Padres make a move from, or even the Cincinnati Reds, because they've been having issues with their rotation. And next year they need some help. Even Milwaukee Brewers could be another viable option for him.
Here's another thought, and this goes back to guys who have had this surgery before. Bartolo Colon is one of a long list of guys who have had that surgery. He missed a whole season because of it. There was a time before his surgery where he was a real power pitcher. He threw between 95 and 100 miles an hour. Ever since he came back from his surgery, he's been consistently throwing 90 to 91, sometimes approaching 94 miles an hour. But he has been so effective with his arsenal of pitches. With him, it's location, location, location. He's been locating the ball great. And that leads to control. If you locate, you have good control. If you have good control, that means you have really quick innings, 1, 2, 3 innings. If you have quick 1, 2, 3 innings, that means you limit your pitch count. If you limit your pitch count, that means you're still able to go about 7 or 8, maybe even 9 innings. Maybe this is something that these pitchers need to concern themselves with. I mean, I know they want to be perfect all the time, but there's going to come a time when they're going to give up base runners. Every pitcher gives up base runners. The question is, how quickly can these guys work in order to make themselves more effective and guard against a potential second or third injury?
Like you mentioned, yeah, sometimes the pitch count either works, or learning new pitches, learning new styles of pitching could also, into their arsenal, could maybe prolong their careers, not doing the same thing over and over again, with just the fastball. Maybe some converting to knuckleball pitchers, that could be a thing, to think about, even though it's very tough to teach somebody the knuckleball, especially at a point in their career where they, have never pitched in that style, Maybe we could see another Tim Wakefield in our life. Maybe,
or an R.A. Dickey.
Or another R.A. Dickey somewhere down the road. Maybe we're going to see plenty of them come out at some point. But it's not even just that. It's, like you mentioned, location, pitch counts, or the or Billy Bean's mathematical philosophy. Well, that for batters, that is. In the movie, of course, he was like, the more walks you get, the more times you get on base, the more times you get on base, Anyway.
Now, as far as both the Yankees and Mets are concerned, the Blue Jays still lead the Yankees 3-0 in the third inning, and the Mets lead the Braves 2-0 in the third inning. Now, I've got some good news that you're going to really love to hear.
What's that?
Hockey season is unofficially back.
Oh, yeah, yesterday.
They have started playing the preseason games. Right now, the Islanders are playing the Flyers, while the Rangers and Devils have a game against each other. The Isles lead 1-0 after 1, while the Rangers and Devils are tied at 1 after 1. And it's just a matter of time before we see both of these teams back on the ice for regular season action. You know, the Islanders are starting their first season in Brooklyn after 43 years at Nassau Coliseum. Do you know that they still do not have a deal with a major radio station in the New York area yet?
Which is really astounding to say the least. You know, you would think the Fan would jump at it, or maybe ESPN.
The Fan, I know, has the Devils. The Rangers are on ESPN New York.
Or about WWOR. Why don't the Islanders try to get a deal with them? Considering the Mets are on WWOR, why can't they do the same for the Islanders? You know, that would also make some sense.
WOR, 1010 Wins, or WABC. You know what station the Islanders are on? Hofstra University's radio station. It's been that way for 10 years now.
Well, because, you know, and last year the franchise was in the postseason. They've had two good seasons in the last 5 years making it into the playoffs. Yeah, Tavares is an amazing player, and you got some of these, and you got a very good goaltender and Yaroslav Halak. So Nick Leddy, a good defensive player, and several others. Like, this is a team, and Kyle Okposo, one of their best forwards besides Tavares on the team. As for the Rangers this year, they're definitely in a year of transition without Derek Stepan. That's going to be very strange not to see him on the ice. And for the Devils, they had yet another terrible season that was, especially with Schneider at goaltender. So they got to really improve from what they had last year. As for what's going on in the other world of sports, yesterday, the best thing that ever happened in the world of professional wrestling, Charlotte Flair, daughter of Ric Flair, winning at Night of Champions, becoming the new Divas champion over Nikki Bella with the figure 8 submission maneuver.
And Charlotte's old man, Ric Flair, was so emotional in seeing his daughter winning her first major title. And there's been a lot of backlash toward Nikki Bella being the champion for almost a year, especially considering that she's barely defended the title. So finally, Charlotte gets to be the champion. We'll see if WWE allows her to defend the title with the frequency that it should be defended with.
I think it should, and I love her maneuver, the figure 8. It's almost like the figure 4, but she has this ability to elevate her body up like she has been experienced in yoga and Pilates. Her father, though, was crying so much in happiness for her daughter. And the rest of the pay-per-view, honestly, is not even... it was all right, to say the least. Kane came out at the end of the title match, but other than that, it was just him in the red mask. It's like they switched between him and Corporate Kane. I don't know what the heck they're doing with him. And Seth Rollins losing the U.S. title to John Cena, but he retained against Sting his heavyweight championship. And now the next pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell, Part 3 of Undertaker Lesnar.
The rubber match between those two. Hopefully this will be decided once and for all.
Yeah, I think it will finally, they'll put it to bed, this match. This chapter will be closed after October 25th in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. I'm sorry.
As far as what's going on elsewhere, going back to hockey in a little bit, there's been a lot of controversy regarding Patrick Kane and him supposedly raping a young woman up in the Buffalo area. They actually did some DNA testing. Turns out that there was no match between Patrick Kane and the victim, but it does not mean that there was not a rape that took place. So there's still a lot of red tape to go around.
Anyway,
on the bright side, basketball season is this close to starting, and Spain wound up winning the Eurobasket Championship, which means they're going to qualify for next summer's Olympics. And the team that they beat, Lithuania, is also going to be at next summer's Olympics. So hopefully we'll have a really competitive basketball tournament at the Olympics next summer.
And Denny Hamlin won the Chicagoland Spring Cup Chase Series, and Jason Day won his 6th title at the BMW Championships next week in Atlanta to end the FedEx Cup Championships in golf.
Well, that's going to do it for us, folks. Eric, thank you so much once again.
Anytime. We'll see you Friday for the Blitz Zone.
That's right. For everyone here, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Eric.
Good night, everyone.
Peace.